Coldest day since back last February. And it is cold, not just where Joe Rayo is, but where I am. And we're about to have our second accumulating snow in a week, which is incredible when you think about it, considering we had a 700-plus day drought for accumulating snow of an inch or more. But we're moving along. And we're going to move along right now on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is brought to you by Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. Tempest is an affiliate of the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. You can find the link on the descriptor to this podcast. And if you do decide to make a purchase of this or anything else on the Tempest website, be sure to use the coupon code I want a weather station, because if you do, you'll get
a reduction in the price by, looks like 10%, Joe.
It is. It's 10% off.
Yes.
All right. So I beat you to the single digits, by the way. This morning I was my low was 7, and we did manage to get to 33, I think. I forgot to check what the high was. 33. It sits only about not even 10 minutes from my house. And took a beautiful picture where it was 1 degree below zero of ice crystals under a clear sky. It was, wow. Yeah, it was, I posted it up on my Facebook page. It was a beautiful shot. And it was so cold today. I just did not feel like doing anything.
Well, I'll tell you, today was the coldest daytime that we had here in Putnam Valley, across all the lower Hudson Valley and maybe even adjacent portions of northwest New Jersey and Fairfield County in Connecticut. Coldest since last February the 4th. We got up to, I should say, 22 degrees today, and last time, again, it was as cold as that was back on the 4th of February of last year. It did not drop into the single digits, yet to do that around here, Joe, but what I did do today, first thing after I woke up, was to go out and do more scraping. I mentioned to you off air last night that I was doing some scraping of the 0.2 of an inch of sleet that had accumulated, sleet and ice that accumulated on top of the 2 inches of snow that I had during the day yesterday. And this time I didn't scrape the driveway so much as I scraped the deck and the patio, the lower patio right outside my office here. And Mother Nature, God love her soul, she did her thing. Even though the temperatures were a full 10 degrees below freezing at best this afternoon, it was beautiful. Blue sky, brilliant sunshine, and the sun interacting with the blacktop on my driveway slowly but surely ate away at the snows and ice of yesterday. And much of the blacktop now, much of the driveway is free and clear. But as you just mentioned, it looks like we're going to replenish the supply, at least snow-wise, when we get to Friday.
Right. And, we both love what we do very much. I love forecasting snow and forecasting snow amounts, but people like this weather.
I hope they enjoy it. I mean, all last month, all that we heard was winter's never going to arrive. Winter's it's dead. It's a total waste again this year. But and I know that we had a couple of shots of very cold weather last year, but they only lasted for a day or two. This one certainly has been through much of this week and will continue into the upcoming weekend. Then some big changes, a big turnaround expected by next week.
Well, yes, to an extent, I will go along with the idea that next week, obviously, it's going to moderate from this. It almost automatically has to. You can only, so much Arctic air when you get a big, dump of it like much of the nation saw this week. It's only natural that the atmosphere is going to try to relax a bit and reload. But I have to tell you, I do, at least for the Northeast and maybe even for the northern part of the Mid-Atlantic states, I don't see next week as I know a few people have been throwing the word blowtorch out there. I just don't. I don't see that. It's going to go above normal, yes, to temperature-wise, but there are a few things going on next week that I think we need to be careful about with regards to cold highs coming down in Canada, and sometimes they get into eastern Canada and New England, and they try to build southward. I think there's a chance of that happening on a couple of occasions over the next seven or after this weekend, over the 7 or 8 days that follow that. And then I noticed today some subtle and not so subtle changes toward the end of the forecast period that suggest that this is just a temporary relaxation, and that may not go back to this extreme, but I think it is going to go back to maybe a more wintry look overall as we get into the month of February. I don't know how you're looking at this, but that kind of caught my attention today.
What caught my attention, Joe, is that the Climate Prediction Center has placed the Northeast on their 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. They have placed the Northeast 80 to 90% probability of above normal temperatures through the 27th of January. And they continue, not quite as high as that, but they continue that right on through literally the end of the month.
Well, but that doesn't tell you, is it 1 degree above normal on average for those days? Is it 5 degrees above normal? I mean, if it's 5 degrees above normal, okay, fine. Is it 10 to 15 degrees above normal, which would be temperatures in the 50s like we saw much of the time during last winter? I don't think that it really gets to that unless there's an odd day here and there. But above normal, yes, but but not crazy above normal by any stretch of the imagination.
Usually when they go that high on probabilities, and again, 70 to 80% for 80 to 90% for us, 90 to 100% above probabilities of above normal all across the Great Lakes,
right,
including, I might add, the Buffalo area, which is being buried again with some very heavy snow shower and squall activity. But usually when you go that high, I've often found that the temperatures climb close to record levels.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think so?
I don't. I don't. I just don't. From what I'm seeing, I don't see. I can't see it right now. Not from what I'm looking at, unless I'm being fooled by what the models are showing. But everybody's entitled to interpret things the way they want, and we'll see how it goes. I also think on the short range with this system for Friday, I think there's potential for somebody to see an upside surprise.
Well, I think that if there's going to be an upside surprise, it's going to be in places to the south of New York City.
Agreed. I think Long Island Long Island and southeastern New England might be a possibility, but in general, it is going to be south of you. I think certainly.
Yeah, I said for the lower Hudson Valley. I didn't put out any kind of a map or specific prediction yet, but I said that there is the potential on Friday for an inch or two.
Right.
An inch or two, not 4 or 5 inches or even 6 inches or more, an inch or two.
Right. And by surprise, just to be clear to everybody, I'm not saying you're going to, that doesn't mean you're going to walk out the door with a forecast of a couple of inches and wind up with a foot. But, you could, I wouldn't shock me if there's a few places that wind up with 4 or 5 in where I think, where I believe the jackpot zone could be. So we'll figure it out. We'll try to figure it out. Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on this Thursday, the 17th of January. And welcome to those of you who may not be on the chat board, but you are watching intently in the background. We love having you here. And if you want to participate in the conversation, I don't think the regulars on the chat board bite most of the time. So do feel free to enjoy and express opinions or ask questions. We like to get to 100 likes just to make Joe and I feel good about ourselves. We have low egos. So be sure to hit the like button if you like the show. And Joe's back in his office, so we'll get to hear the bell if we do. And subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us Sunday through Thursday, our regular broadcast days at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday when there's a storm going on. Maybe we'll be on Friday night. We'll probably make that decision tomorrow. So, and Bobby Livingsworth, the first to hit the tip jar tonight. Thank you, Bobby Livingsworth, for doing that. Most appreciated. So, on that note, we have the first winter sweater advisories. No, winter weather advisories, clearly. And they're up. And Mount Holly has decided to be the first, as they've put up winter weather advisories for much of eastern Pennsylvania, as well as the New Jersey counties that they are responsible for, which is most of them. The only ones they're not responsible for are the northeastern counties of New Jersey. That's from Upton, from the Weather Service in New York. And I imagine if things don't change radically, they'll probably put them up there, and also for Long Island and maybe South Coastal Connecticut and Westchester County. We'll see. We have winter storm watches up for portions of southwestern Pennsylvania, as well as the mountains of West Virginia. And we have winter weather advisories up for much of the state of Kentucky, a good portion of the state of Tennessee, and parts of, it looks like they have them up even for I have to check. The map is so small, I can't see if they put those up for western North Carolina. So let me just check that. No, they are not up for the western parts of North Carolina. Thank you.
Are you hearing that?
Yes.
Hope all of you are. We hit 100 already on the like scoreboard, and we can only go up from here.
Yep. Northern Mississippi in it. Also eastern Arkansas. We have lake effect snow warning still up in north central New York and in the counties surrounding Buffalo. Winter weather advisories from Iowa northwestward into Montana, where they become winter storm warnings and extend back across the state of Washington. Also, we have warnings in western Wyoming, northern Utah, parts of northern Utah, and some counties in north central Colorado with winter weather advisories surrounding those. So let's do what we usually do. I'm not going to change it. Looking at the satellite loop, which will move faster here, hopefully in a moment. Those first frames during daylight, if you notice the white that extends from northern Arkansas across Tennessee and then northeastward up into the northeast, those what looks like clouds, they're not clouds. That's actually snow cover that is showing up on the satellite. First time we've seen that in a long time. We do have some clouds back up around the Great Lakes, and particularly in the middle Mississippi Valley. There's a disturbance that is shooting out to the east with an area of snow. Now that's going to go by tomorrow, mostly to our north, up in New England. So don't be surprised if you wind up seeing some snow showers in parts of upstate New York and in interior New England tomorrow as that goes by. Maybe the southern edge clips northern Connecticut and perhaps the middle Hudson Valley. But then that goes out.
I even mentioned a slight chance after midnight tomorrow night of a brief passing snow shower based upon that. But for the most part, it should be dry tomorrow night across much of the region. And then we set up for what we may get on Friday.
Yep, there's some moisture in the Gulf of Mexico that's going to set up a little low that's going to run out to the northeast, and it's going to run out ahead of the energy that is going to be mostly responsible for the snow on Friday. And we also have moisture continuing to pour into the Pacific Northwest. The radar at the moment in north central New York and in the counties from Buffalo westward, showing some lake effect going on there. It's two small areas, but there are some heavier bands in there in the darker greens Also seeing some lake effect up off Lake Huron that's going into Canada. You don't know if we it just kind of caught my eye today that's happening there, and a little bit of lake effect going on also up Lake Superior to the northern shores of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Here's that area of light snow. So a lot of this may not even be reaching the ground. Uh, and that's moving eastward across Iowa and out of Nebraska and points eastward. And then, of course, out in the Pacific Northwest, ample moisture here from the system offshore pushing inland. And we've got areas of snow up in northern Idaho into Montana, and also in parts of southern Idaho. We're seeing some snow there. And across northern Oregon, we're seeing some rain with snow in the mountains in that area. Okay, WPC. So this is the liquid precip forecast for the next 24 hours. So this takes us to Thursday night. You see the concentrations up around the lakes. Light precip mostly as you swing it back up into the plains. Picks up again in the Pacific Northwest. Now for Friday, this is Thursday night into Friday night. They've cut this back. They only got 1/10 of an inch. Let me just see that. This is to Friday. No, I'm sorry. I jumped a day here. Hang on a second. 24-hour valid Saturday and Sunday. And why does it have that on day one? All right, there's day one. Here's day two. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is right. I knew that map was wrong. So this is Friday into Saturday. And they have 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch for southern New York, the Hudson Valley, southern Connecticut, Long Island, northern New Jersey, much of Pennsylvania. But they have a little finger there of 1/4 to 1/2 that comes into central New Jersey and southern New Jersey. And also in the Appalachians, they have 1/4 to 1/2. And just bear in mind that the liquid precip amounts, if you translate them to 10-to-1, you're going to get a couple of inches, maybe 2 or 3 in the dark green, but this is probably going to have snow ratios that are going to be higher than 10-to-1, which would allow for snow amounts to run up a bit higher. Light precip down to the Gulf states, heavier precip along the Pacific Northwest, and after that, I think we kind of go quiet for a little bit. Saturday into Sunday, just around the lakes, some leftover precip. Friday evening along the coast from southeastern New England down to southern New Jersey. Some more precip coming into the west for day 4. Much of the nation dry except the west. Day 5, you start to see the Gulf moisture open up into Texas and streaming up into Oklahoma. Day 6, it goes a little further north toward the Great Lakes with some heavier precip up to 1.5 inches plus, East Texas and Louisiana. And day 7, and now we're into Wednesday and Thursday, we see a large concentration of moisture in the Gulf states and up into the lower Mississippi Valley, up to a couple of inches of rain or more being forecast for parts of southeast Texas. So that's for a week from that's Tuesday night into Wednesday night. Now the snow map, which everybody is looking ahead to. They really didn't change this too much from when I first looked at it early this morning. WPC has a 70 to 80% chance in that light blue of at least 2 inches. So that covers just about all of New Jersey except the south and the coast where it goes down, but it's still 50 to 60%. It really goes down as you head toward Cape May. The southern edge of 50 to 60, this is 70 to 80% here in the light blue. This is 60 to 70%. So the southern edge of 60% gets down to about Baltimore, and then it kind of tails off after that. And then you can see the bigger amounts, 100% probability, western Pennsylvania down into the mountains of West Virginia. And since you didn't draw a map, Joe, I did. So I'm going to put that up on the screen now. This is my early call.
And I frankly, I think WPC went a little overboard, unless they were injecting the puff factor into their snow outlook. But, I mean, for my area, and for much of the area around and north of me, they went for 2 to 4 inches overall for this next snowmaker, and I said, 2 to 4. You really think we're going to get that much?
I thought they were too far north, to be honest. That's
Yes.
my view. They were too, I thought they were too far north with that high probability. But this is what I did. I went for a general area of 1 to maybe 3, and the 3 would be maybe close to that red line that cuts Long Island in half and then runs across New Jersey from Staten Island on west toward Allentown, and then the southern edge of that, the other red line across northern Maryland into southern New Jersey, a band of 3 to 4 inches. And I think if there's going to be a jackpot zone, and at this point I should go back to WPC's map, this is where they think the jackpot zone would be. And we're going to put up the probability of at least 4. And it'll be up in a moment. There it is. So here's the probability of at least 4 inches. And they've got that blue spot there surrounding Trenton to about just north of Philadelphia to the, maybe Allentown is just on the edge of that too. That darker blue is a 50 to 60% probability of 4. The green, the darkest green, is a 30 to 40% probability of at least 4. And that gets to Staten Island, touches Brooklyn, runs down the Garden State Parkway, about maybe halfway down, and then, or a little bit more than halfway down, and then turns west to touching northern Delaware, and maybe back to about Reading, Lancaster, those areas. So that's where they think the jackpot zone may be. I think that's one possibility. And the other thing I'm thinking about, Joe, is the fact that we're going to have a wind off water temperatures that are in the mid 40s that are going to be coming into this Arctic air that is not going to exactly just disappear. And if anything, the upper atmosphere and the middle atmosphere is going to be turning colder during the day Friday. So I think we could get some ocean effect enhancement, which short range models do a better job with that, and they've been a bit juicier with this than the global models have been, and I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I think we have to watch for the possibility that some of the snows might get enhanced a bit along the immediate coast. That's just my that's my never to be humble opinion.
Well, the one thing that we're looking at for this Friday that we saw yesterday, but we're not seeing on the forecast for Friday, is the injection of sleet. I got to say that again, that the NAM and the especially the HRRR, those two models, and to a lesser degree the GFS, really did a very good job in forecasting that swath of ice and sleet, which certainly went a long way to lowering the forecast for snowfall accumulations yesterday. If you recall, I think National Weather Service had 3 to 5 inches of snow for my area and for much of the New York City metropolitan area. Nowhere near that because of the changeover to sleet and ice. We're not, however, seeing that with the upcoming system on Friday.
There's no sleet and no freezing rain in this one.
Right.
The only places that might maybe see a little bit of rain, I think, maybe a coastal South Jersey, Atlantic County down to Cape May, might see some rain out of this. But no, we're not going to have that problem this time around.
Right, I agree. There's no changeover, and in fact, maybe the snow is really not the topmost event. Or should be the topmost event in most people's mind, because Saturday, as cold as it was out there today, Saturday, we're going to be as cold, if not maybe a touch colder. And the thing about Saturday and Sunday, and I mentioned this the last couple of days, are the winds, blustery, cold winds, which will make the feels-like temperatures more like the teens and single digits on Saturday. And Sunday is still rather windy, although maybe not quite as cold as what we're looking at on Saturday. But I think the cold should certainly be one over or one above the snow probability on Friday. As I'm looking at the you have on the screen, I guess the National Weather Service forecast for snowfall, and you could see they're generally thinking of a couple of inches at most from most areas. Although out on Long Island, as you mentioned, Joe, at the top of the show, maybe places further to the east just might see a little bit more than just an inch or two. They've got 3 inches for Islip, 3 inches for West Hampton, even 3 inches for JFK, for goodness sake.
And 2.7 inches for New York City, and 2.6 for Newark, and
Yeah,
2 inches for Bridgeport.
How do you go 701 days without being able to scrape together at least an inch in a single day? How do you do that? And then all of a sudden, you get more than an inch yesterday, and now all of a sudden they're talking about 2.7 inches for Friday.
They're getting greedy, Joe.
Crazy.
Well,
yeah.
here's Mount Holly. It's a gutsy forecast for Mount Holly with regards to that jackpot zone, and my forecast that I did that my snow map at like 5:30 this morning. So I was going off with overnight guidance, and I could see where they came up with the numbers they did. So this is Mount Holly's. If I can get this map to open up, I love this. Little box comes up because I clicked on it and it tells me wait.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, David Fuller hits the tip jar tonight. Thank you, David. It should probably be over with Friday evening, maybe around 7 or 8 o'clock, David, I think. And Raymond O'Hara, now why did it do this? I don't want the radar. I clicked on the snow map, and it's giving me this. All right, now we got it, I think. Come on, Mount
I see expected snowfall on my page, or on my...
Yeah, it'll come up. And Raymond O'Hara, thank you for hitting a super chat tonight and giving us a 10. Thank you. A rating of 10. Most appreciated.